Já.
Jæja, gott að heyra. Góðan daginn, kæru gestir, og ég ætla bara að bjóða okkur öll velkomin á hana morgunverðarfund Opinna Kerfa. Ég ætla að byrja með þetta vera núna, klukkan 9 og fólk þá bara bætist við ef svo er. Í dag þá ætlum við að stikla svona á því helsta sem að gerast hjá Meraki. En við erum með 2 erlenda snillinga frá Meraki sem ætla að segja okkur svona frá svona þessum helstu áhugaverðu nýjungum sem kynntar hafa verið þar á bæ undanfarin misseri. Og hann svo skemmtilegt að segja frá því að báðir þessir herramenn heita Daniel, þannig að það Daniel Lindqvist og Daniel Alder sem munu svona segja okkur frá því sem að áhugavert er. Við erum líka með góðan gest úr Garðabænum og það hann Skarphéðinn Jónsson sem sérfræðingur tölvudeildar hjá Garðabæ. Hann ætlaði sem sagt að fræða okkur aðeins Meraki umhverfi Garðabæjar sem dálítið stórt og mikið. En þeir hafa sem sagt verið að keyra Meraki í Garðabænum núna í 6 ár og það verið svona fróðlegt að heyra aðeins hvað var til þess að þeir tóku þá stefnu að endurnýja sinn búnað yfir í Meraki og hvernig svona hefur gengið hjá þeim þessi 6 ár sem þeir hafa verið að nýta sér þann búnað. Nú sjálfur heiti ég Kristinn Helgason og ég sölustjóri netlausna hjá Opinna Kerfum og ég ætla að vera fundarstjóri hér í dag. Kannski nokkur hagnýtt atriði þá bara til að byrja með. Við áætlum cirka klukkutími þennan fund. Hann tekinn upp og upptaka verður þá aðgengileg svona fljótlega eftir að fundi lýkur núna 10-leytið. Ef þið hafið einhverjar spurningar þá bara væri fínt að fá þær setta fram hérna á spjallinu til hliðar og við svona reynum að fara yfir þær bara jafnóðum og þær detta inn. Ef þið hafið einhverjar spurningar til þeirra Meraki bræðra þá væri bara kannski fínt að fá þær setta fram á ensku, þá sjá þeir þær og geta svarað þeim bara beint sjálfur. En ég held að sé þá raunin ekkert að vanbúna bara að byrja þetta. Ég ætla bara að bjóða Skarphéðinn velkomin til leiks og hann ætlar eins og áður sagði að fræða okkur það ferðalag sem þá Garðabær hefur átt með Meraki undanfarin ár. Gerðu svo vel, Skarpi.
Takk fyrir. Góðan daginn, Skarphéðinn heiti ég og starfa á tölvudeild Garðabæjar. Við erum búin að vera Meraki notendur í rúm 6 ár og á næstu mínútum ætla ég að segja ykkur aðeins frá okkar kynnum og reynslu af Meraki og innleiðingaferlinu hjá okkur og af hverju við völdum þetta kerfi. Netrekstrarumhverfi Garðabæjar ósköp hefðbundið sveitarfélagarekstur þar sem stærstu vinnustæðarnir eru grunnskólar, leikskólar, ráðhús og allt frá litlum sambýlum upp í stóru íþróttahús og þess háttar. Samtals eru þessi staðir í dag farnir að nálgast 40 og fjölgar sirka 1 til 3 á hverju ári. Meraki kerfi hjá okkur eins og það í dag samanstendur af 430 Wi-Fi-sendum, 110 svissum af ýmsum gerðum og 1 eldvökur. Áður en við fórum í Meraki vorum við með eldra kerfi frá HP. Það kerfi þurfti að keyra á físískum miðlægum kontrólum sem voru staðsettir í netmiðjunni okkar. Það þýddi að öll trafikkinn þurfti að fara í gegnum þessa kontrólara og ekkert svigrúm var kerfislega til að skipta því upp eftir þjónustum og eðli notkunar upp á að nýta bandvítina sem best á hverju starfsstöð. Þetta var til þess að alls konar flöskuhálsar mynduðust með tilheyrandi pirringi og fleira. Við þurftum því nýtt kerfi sem allra fyrst og aðalkröfurnar hjá okkur fyrst voru að hafa viðmót og umsýsluna eins einfölda í daglegri notkun og hægt væri og helst eitthvað sem passar sig sjálft og lætur vita ef eitthvað að og síðast en ekki síst gefur okkur heildar yfirsýn yfir ástandið og allar okkar starfsstöðum. Þegar viðskiptavinir hringja inn til okkar með vandamál vildum við geta á fljótlegan hátt fengið kerfi þar sem hægt var að rekja vandamálið alla leið. Best væri við fengjum tilkynningu kerfinu áður en kunni hringdi. Á tölvudeild Garðabæjar starfa einungis 5 manns og til þess að láta daglega restur ganga upp í ört stækkandi sveitarfélagi reynum við alltaf að hafa góð tól í verkfærakassanum til að grípa í. Eins förum við oft á leið að outsourca ýmsum verkefnum eins og til dæmis innleiðingum nýrra kerfa, hýsingum á kerfum og þess háttar. Síðan þegar innleiðingaferlinu lokið þá misjafnt hvort við tökum alfarið við umsjón, viðkomandi kerfa eða gerum samningum utanumhald og rekstur. Af hverju völdum við Meraki? Aðalástæðan held ég að sé að þetta kerfi tikkaði í öll bóksin hjá okkur og svo líka svolítið minni hættu á að kaupa köttin í setnum þegar Cisco setti logoðu sitt við þetta. Árið sem við vorum í þessum sporum var 2015, Meraki var tiltölulega nýtt en samt ekki glænýtt og alls staðar þar sem við lásum umsagnir var þessu kerfi lofað í hástert. Einnig hjálpaði til að þetta var full-blown GUI-lausn og þar sem enginn okkar var með djúpa nettekningu né mikinn áhuga að hlaupa á milli staða til að brúka serialport og tala við sussa og rátara var þetta tilvalið. Í upphafi innleiðingar fórum við þá leið að láta mæla og taka út allar stærri stofnanir á bænum með tilliti til Wi-Fi og til að fá tilfinningu fyrir hvað við þurftum mikið að búnaði. Opin kerfi voru fengin í verkið og þeir fóru með mælibúnað á allar starfsstöðvar hjá okkur. Síðan var okkur skilað nákvæmum skýrslum eins og sjást hér, þar sem kom fram dekkun miðað við bæði 2,4 og 5 GHz ásamt því hvar kjörstaðsetningar senda væri fyrir senda. Markmiðið var að hafa öll vinnusvæði með sterkum merki miðað við 5 GHz tíðnina, þó svo 2,4 GHz tíðnin var mest notaðasta tíðnin á þessum tíma. Einnig fengum við með þessari úttekt góða greinagerð sem útskýrir helstu atriði og aðferðafræðina. Með þetta síðan í farteskinu var svo ákveðið að velja Meraki-lausnina og keyptu voru til að byrja með sendar og sussar á alla staði þar sem fyrir var búnaður og lagnir. Þetta gerði okkur kleift að koma upp góðu kerfi á stuttum tíma með lágmarksdekkun alls staðar miðað við 2,4 GHz á næstu 3 árum eftir þetta var síðan öll tækifæri nýtt þegar eignasjóður Garðabæjar var að vinna í viðhaldi fasteigna og ýmsum framkvæmdum og starfsstöðvum til að láta bæta við þeim lögnum í leiðinni og setja upp þann búnað sem vantaði til að þétta netið. Innleiðingin gekk eins og dans á rósum þó henni hafi verið dreift og þetta mikinn tíma. Eitt af því sem okkur þykir kostur þegar búnaður er keyptur af Meraki kemur hann alltaf forskráður sjálfvirkt inn í kerfið okkar og það eina sem við þurfum að gera að hengja búnaðinn á rétt net og prófíla sem búið var að forsníða í upphafi. Einnig vinsælt hjá okkur að nota Meraki appið til að setja inn búnað fyrst og fara síðan eftir í stóra portalinn til að gefa þessu rétt nöfnum svoleiðis túlri. Meraki appið hefur reynst okkur vel þegar við erum út á örkinni á starfsstöðum við að skrúfa upp búnað og tengja og græja. Við að hengja viðkomandi tæki til dæmis við staðsetningu á korti eða á grunnmynd af húsnæði eða við að taka mynd af aðstæðum. Þetta hefur síðan hjálpað okkur mikið þegar hlaupa þar til og finna senda sem þarf að skipta út eða bilunargreina. Auk þess hjálpa myndirnar okkur þegar stundum þarf að átta sig betur aðstæðum eða leiðbeining gegnum síma. Appið hefur einnig reynst okkur vel við að sjá ástand á netinu, fjölda klæjanta og margt fleira. Með því að staðsetja allan búnað á korti fáum við líka landfræðilega yfirsýn eins og sést hér á þessu skjáskoti sem úr Meraki portalnum og erum við alltaf með þessa mynd opna live upp á vegg hjá okkur á deildinni til að sjá hvernig kerfinu líður. Bólurnar standa fyrir staðina og þegar þrengtir inn í myndina koma nákvæma staðsetningar í ljós og tölurnar segja til fjölda Meraki búnaðar á hverjum stað. Það fyrsta sem greip mig þegar opin kerfi kynnti fyrir okkur Meraki viðmótið var hvað allt auðskiljanlegt og aðgengilegt hvar sem og hvaðan sem Ekki þurfti neina djúpa þekkingu og það sem meira að kerfið í dag að okkur mati ígildi auka starfsmanns sem á vaktinni 24/7. Sem dæmi daglega notkun hjá okkur í þessu kerfi að við notum það til dæmis að leita upp búnað, finna IP-tölur, leiðbeina fólki á rétt net, pinga búnað, bílunargreina lagnir og margt fleira. Ef ég á að finna eitthvað neikvætt við þetta kerfi þá það að það eykur ekki á hreyfingu og skrifafjölda hjá manni við daginn. Við innleiðingu á svona kerfi fannst okkur skipta miklu máli að leggja upp með og vera búin að móta okkur nokkurs konar heildarsýn strax í upphafi og reyndum að undirbúa allt sem hægt var að undirbúa. Við lögðum mikið upp með að nota nafnareglur og skammstafanir til að auðvelda umsýsluna og einnig notustu mikið við tags, til dæmis til að stýra því hvaða SSID eiga að vera á hvaða sendum og þess háttar. Einnig fannst okkur mikilvægt að kerfið yrði einsleitt fyrir notendur og öll net eins á öllum stöðum. Þannig ef notandi fer á milli staða þá dettur hann inn á sama net á nýjum stað og svo framvegis. Við erum með í dag nokkur SSID bæði sýnileg og falin, bíotnet fyrir alla starfsmenn Garðabæjar þar sem þeir auðkenna sig með sínum AD-user inn á netið. Gestanet á öllum starfsstöðum Garðabæjar og það Meraki net sem kom beint á kúnni á þeim ef þannig má orðið komast. Þetta innbyggðlaust sem með sérskópi frá Meraki og algjörlega aðskilið frá okkar netum. Það eina sem við þurfum að gera til að setja þau upp var að virkja splassíu þar sem notandi þarf að samþykkja skilmála með því að smella á einn app og þar með hann komið með internetaðgang í 24 tíma. Þetta net hjá okkur fer svo aftast í forgangsröðina hvað varðar bandvít og þess háttar. Til að taka smá dæmi ymsið á netun okkar hér skjáskot úr Meraki-notkuninni síðustu 30 daga. Hér má sjá að við erum með 15.000 tæki og tól sem tengist inn á netið okkar, meðalnotkun klæjant 123 GB og meðalfjöldi tæki á dag rúm 8.000 tæki. Í dag, þegar ný húsnæði og starfsstöðvar á vegum Garðabæjar eru tekin í notkun, höfum við alltaf þá vinnureglu í HVum að nýta þessa reynslu og það ferli sem við mótuðum á þessari leið. Leið og hönnun og ákvarðanir eru teknar húsnæði tölvudeildin alltaf fengin að borðinu og fundur haldinn með rafhönnuðum til að passa upp á að allar yfirlagnir séu settar inn strax í fyrstu hönnun. Þannig fáum við líka magntölur á búnaðnum og getum verið komið með allan búnað í hús leið og lagnir eru klárar. Það sérstaklega hentugt núna á seinni tímum þegar skortur í heiminum á svona búnaði og oft langur afgreiðslutími. Ég vona að þetta hafi verið eitthvað fróðlegt hjá mér og ef einhverjum langar að vita meira af okkar reynslu af Meraki, þá sjálfsagt að senda mig línu. Þið finnið allar upplýsingar mig á heimasíðu Garðabæjar. Takk fyrir að hlusta.
Glæsilegt. Takk fyrir þetta, Skarphéðinn. Það var mjög fróðlegt. Hjó eftir því og sagði þér þarna að þetta sparaði jafnvel eitt stöðugildi. Það þá einfaldleikinn í managementi eða svona hvernig það sem að þú ert að meta þetta út frá því þá helst eða?
Ekki bara það, heldur gervigreindin líka sem í kerfinu bara upp á að vakta allt og láta okkur vita og við erum með til dæmis þannig að kerfið ef að dettur út sendir eða svisshyggstar þá fáum við tölvupóst beint inn í verkefnakerfi okkar þannig að við fáum að vita allt strax.
Já.
Þannig að þetta sá sem hleypur alla staði og fylgist með.
Já, mjög áhugavert. Takk fyrir þetta. Næstur þá stígur á svið Daniel Lindqvist. Hann ætlar þá að fræða okkur, hann frá Meraki og hann ætlar að fræða okkur aðeins þessar svona nýjunga sem hafa komið frá Meraki undanfarið og mögulega segja okkur svona frá því líka sem að þá væntanlegt. Og kannski þá segja okkur lítilega frá því fyrir hvað bara Meraki stendur svona heilt yfir. Eftir honum kemur svo Daniel Alder og hann ætlar þá meira kannski að kíkja svona aðeins ofan í húddi með okkur og fara þessi gegnum Meraki stjórnborðið og sýna það í virkni. Svo ætlar Daniel Lindqvist að taka aftur við og segja okkur aðeins frá því hvað Meraki getur gert fyrir þá okkur og ykkur viðskiptavinir, hvað tilboðir í gangi og fleiri þeimdur. Þannig að Daniel, please proceed.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today and present. All right, please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we see it. Yep.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you again for the introduction. As Christine mentioned, I'm Daniel Lindqvist. I'm the account manager at Cisco Meraki, covering Iceland and Norway. So today, I'm very quickly going to give you some introductions and set the scene for some of the updates and developments and integrations we're going to talk about today. Then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Daniel Older, who's going to give a live demonstration of some of the new products and some of the new integrations that we're going to show you today. And then we're going to round up with some follow-ups and some Q&A if there are any questions. Okay. So some of you might be familiar with Meraki from beforehand, but for those of you who are not familiar, I'll give a quick background of where it all started. So in 2006, Meraki founded cloud networking. This is when we released our first cloud managed access point. And since then we had a lot of growth and expanded our portfolio. Fast forward to 2012, this is when we were acquired by Cisco. We're now the cloud networking arm of Cisco, and we're one of the fastest growing business units within the Cisco group. In 2017, we expanded our portfolio from not only networking, but into IoT. We released our first physical security camera called Meraki MB. And more recently, we've also expanded into IoT sensors. Today, we have 16 years of experience of designing scalable and secure cloud architectures, and we're continuously investing in our portfolio and adding new products and services. So we founded Cloud Networking in 2006, but we're still very much market leaders in the space. So as you can see here, we have over 640,000 customers globally, spread over 190 countries globally. We have 3.5 million customer networks on the Meraki dashboard. We have over 10 million Meraki devices online, and we also have over 153 million daily end user devices on the Meraki platform. And we also have over 3.5 billion external IPA monthly calls. All of these numbers are drawn directly from the Meraki dashboard. And we have quite a large and diverse client base within Meraki. We sell into finance, education, government, retail, manufacturing, and we also cater the SMB market and the enterprise and global accounts. One of our largest customers, as you see here, has deployed over 285,000 access points in one single environment. So we kind of cater all clients in all sizes, in all different segments. So this is the Meraki portfolio to date. You might be familiar with it, but I'm going to go through it very quickly. So the Meraki portfolio is often referred to as the Meraki full stack, where we have our MR access points, our MX SD-WAN and security appliances, Meraki Insight, our MG cellular gateway, our MS switches, our systems manager software, which is for endpoint management, our MVs, which is our security cameras, and the latest addition to the portfolio, which is our IoT sensors called MT. All of our products are 100% cloud managed, and they can all be accessed from a single pane of glass management called the Meraki dashboard, as we see on the left-hand side. So very quickly, just on Meraki principles. So when Meraki was founded in 2006, the main aim was to reduce complex networking. Simplicity is still at the heart of everything we do, and we tend to reach customers that have this as their primary business driver, being simplicity. So how do we enable this simplicity? Well, we have our dashboard and we have APIs. Our dashboard is where our customers troubleshoot, update, analyze everything in their network, and this can be done from anywhere with internet connection. And of course, security. Security is part of everything we do, and we have a massive advantage of being part of Cisco, which are industry leaders in the security space. So what's new at Meraki? So these are some of the topics that we're going to touch on today in more detail when Daniel takes you through this during the demonstration. But we've recently released our MR57 access point, which is an ultra high performance Wi-Fi 6E access point. We're also going to talk about Wi-Fi 6E, the next generation of wireless, and what this actually means for our customers. We're also going to talk about Meraki and Cisco Umbrella. Cisco Umbrella is the leader in DNS security, and we've done some exciting new integrations where you can use Meraki and Umbrella together. And Daniel Older is going to talk you through some of these integrations and some possibilities that are there for our customers. So the Meraki platform is truly a foundation for IT and IoT. As many of you might know, of course, we've touched on the Meraki dashboard, which offers our built-in solutions for troubleshooting, management, and updating your network. But we also offer more than that. We also offer tailored solutions through our APIs, where we actually can help customers streamline their processes even further, or even create custom solutions that suits our customers better. We also have the Meraki Marketplace, where many of our ecosystem partners have created tailored solutions and third-party applications and apps where our customers can use this for different use cases. And of course, this can be used across all of our portfolio in one place. Beyond this, we also have other integrations that help our customers automate and scale. The Cisco portfolio on the left is also fully integrated with the Meraki platform. We're going to talk a bit about Cisco Umbrella today for DNS security, but the Meraki dashboard and platform is also integrated with Cisco AMP for advanced malware protection, Cisco AnyConnect to secure remote workers with VPN, and Cisco Duo and other solutions. We of course have the Meraki portfolio, but we also have the APIs and ecosystems that are available through the Meraki Marketplace. Not that many clients are maybe aware of this, but we have a Meraki Marketplace where our ecosystem partners have developed apps and solutions that our clients can tap into. And they're also fully integrated with the Meraki dashboard. Some of the solutions are around hybrid work, such as hot desking, flex offices, smart spaces for asset tracking. We have solutions around safe environments for contract tracing. We have analytics for football analytics, which is very popular within retail, and marketing solutions such as guest Wi-Fi campaigns, online to offline, and other solutions that our clients can use. This is, of course, all integrated and all can be used through the Meraki platform. So what has actually Meraki done for our customers over the years? So we recently did a survey for our customers where we found that over 42% saw up to 25% cost savings when using Meraki. Over 64% stated that they were protected against security threats. Over 45% stated that it boosted their customer and employee satisfaction when using Meraki. And then finally, over 52% of our clients stated that they were better equipped for the digital future when utilizing the Meraki platform. So these were just some introduction slides just to set the scene a bit. As I said, Daniel Older is going to talk you through some of these topics in more detail and do the live demonstration. So I'm going to pass it over to Daniel now, which is going to take over.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Yes, hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for the introduction from Open and also obviously from you, Daniel. So yes, today I'm going to go through a few different topics with you and diving in to the slides here. First off, we're going to start with a quick summary of like what is Wi-Fi 6E, because it's quite fairly new on the scene, and we'll go through the MR57 Meraki access point in a bit more detail as well. We'll then discuss some of the Meraki health features that are sort of involved around the MR product line. We'll then cover the Meraki APIs as well. So expand a little bit on what Daniel was saying in a few of his slides just there, and give you a quick demo as well of what you can do with the APIs and the dashboard. And then finally, we'll round it off with a discussion around the MX product lines and also the Umbrella integration, and we'll have a demo on how that works and what it can do for you potentially within your company and your business. So diving straight in, let's have a look at Wi-Fi 6E. So progressively over the last 20 years, obviously Wi-Fi has had multiple different iterations released. Most recently was the Wi-Fi 6E iteration, and prior to that in 2019 was Wi-Fi 6. So quite close together, much closer together than in previous years. And it's important to remember that actually Wi-Fi 6E isn't a brand new iteration, so it's not a brand new version of Wi-Fi. It is an extension of, so an improvement on top of the Wi-Fi 6 protocol, basically. So, and the benefit from that is that we get everything that we get within Wi-Fi 6, but also some of the added benefits, which include things like efficiency, better efficiency with regards to serving clients, better security, but also mostly what we're going to focus on today is the new spectrum of usability. So the new spectrum that's available for the access points and for the users to connect to, and how that can benefit organizations and businesses. But before we dive into what that's going to look like, I just want to quickly cover some of the current challenges that are still very much the same as with previous generations. So again, today there's still a very large number and only an ever increasing number of devices that we need to connect to our networks. But prior to this Wi-Fi 6E, we only had the same amount of spectrum that we had in the beginning as well. With these large number of devices, we also have a lot of, it's a shared spectrum, especially on the 2.4 gigahertz side of things. So there's a lot of interference from non-Wi-Fi related devices. So things like, from microwaves and, lighting and various other elements inside offices and buildings these days. With the large number of users and that shared spectrum creates sort of channel congestion. So often this requires very detailed planning in the first place so that we can try and avoid this channel congestion to make sure that the performance for users within your office spaces or retail spaces, whatever it may be, is as good as it can be. And one of of course, the limited elements is that we have had the limited number of channels over the between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. But luckily, with Wi-Fi 6E, that changes. So on the left-hand side, we can see some of the main benefits that we received with the Wi-Fi 6 iteration in 2019. Some of these include the higher modulation, which enables that higher throughput. target wait time, which can improve device battery efficiency. So it can improve the battery life of the client devices connected to the APs, so they probe less often. And then some others such as downlink and uplink multi-user MIMO, and a few others there as well. But now with Wi-Fi 6E, the main sort of addition and improvement is this added spectrum. So in the EU, we will receive 500 megahertz of extra channel width that we can utilize for clients to connect to within the 6 gigahertz spectrum. In the US, they will have up to 1200, so they will be getting more. But yeah, in the EU, that will be 500 for us. And I'll kind of show you how that compares to previous generations in the next slide. With this, it will enable us to potentially utilize wider channels in production environments. So what I mean by this is, historically, we've been very limited to 20 and maybe 40 megahertz channels inside high density production environments due to the limited number of non-overlapping channels that we have and the limited number of amount of spectrum that we have for those devices to connect on. And that in turn obviously reduces the potential throughput of those devices as well with that smaller channel width. So what this new spectrum can enable is potentially the use of or the common use of sort of 40 and maybe even 80 megahertz channels inside production and high density production environments. And in turn, that will obviously convert to potential higher throughput for those devices that are connecting as well. So all in all, a better improved service for clients that are connecting. The fact that the 6 gigahertz spectrum is obviously only open to devices that can enable that means that previous generation devices will not impact the speed and efficiency of devices on the 6 gigahertz spectrum. And Wi-Fi 6E will also come with security upgrades and improvements such as WPA3 and also efficiency improvements for those devices connecting. So we can essentially enable and work with a higher number of devices more efficiently when connected to the access points. Moving on here, just to give you sort of a graphical representation of the new spectrum that we'll be getting in the EU here. At the bottom, we have the new 500 megahertz channel width that we'll be getting. So that equates to 24 20 megahertz channels, 12 40 megahertz, 6 80, and 3 160 megahertz channels. So whilst 160 megahertz may well not be used in production environments, the addition of 6 80 megahertz and the other 40 and 20 megahertz channels can essentially gives us quite a large amount of extra spectrum. And to put that into perspective, with the 5 gigahertz spectrum, we had 15 20 megahertz, 8 40, and 4 8 non-overlapping 80 megahertz channels that we could utilize. So essentially, that we are getting the 5 gigahertz spectrum again, plus a few more channels to actually utilize in the production environment. And that's the first time in 20 years that we've had this extra spectrum added. So this should assist with the efficiency and accessibility of wireless for client devices, especially in high density environments. And then just to round off on the Wi-Fi 6E element here, there are quite a few devices today that already support Wi-Fi 6E. So as you can see, there's a few up on the slides there. But of course, this will become sort of ever more prevalent as new releases of devices come out as well. So moving away from Wi-Fi 6E in general and towards the MR57. So this is our flagship 6E access point. It is a tri-band AP, so accessibility on 2.45 and 6 gigahertz spectrums. In theory, up to 6 gigabits per second of combined throughput across the 3 different bands. One of the features that this access point has that any previous Meraki access point has not had is the ability to convert the 6 gigahertz radio into a 5 gigahertz radio. So this will enable dual 5 gigahertz functionality on the access points, which is great for high density environments, and especially potentially in the beginning when maybe the number of 6 gigahertz devices is lower. You could utilize dual 5 gigahertz to give better performance for those devices that are connecting. This access point also has a USB port within it to enable things down the road, such as like IoT functionality. So you could install things like electronic shelf labeling, into that USB port in the device. The AP also has dual PoE 5 gigabit per second ports. So this means that in very high availability scenarios, you could essentially connect 2 cables into the access point and power the AP via both cables. So in the event of a failure of the port, the cable, or the switch port, it will still stay online, connected, and service clients. And then finally, it comes with the Cisco Universal Mount to make the installation side of things much simpler and easy. For a couple of physical changes, as you can see, the form factor is different to our previous generation of access points. The status LED has moved onto the front of the device to make it more accessible, and the cable cavity on the back of the device as well is larger and wider to make the installation side of things much simpler. And then finally, one addition on the dual PoE side of things, the access point is designed to be used with UPoE. So I think up to 60 watts of PoE. However, the access point will actually run on PoE+, so 802.11at, and the only sort of loss of functionality is the USB port. So you can still utilize the 2.45 and 6 gigahertz radio, even when the AP is powered via PoE+ rather than UPoE. So if you're not using that USB port, that can potentially make the transition from Wi-Fi 6 to 6 EAPs a bit smoother for you, as you may not need to switch out the switching infrastructure straight away if you don't have UPoE switching capabilities. Alrighty, so transitioning on to the wireless update. So this is just a few features relating to the Meraki Health kind of feature set within the platform. And this Meraki Health feature set is designed to essentially sort of simplify assurance and optimizations within your network. So historically, generally within the networking world, but within the Meraki platform, there has been a lot of data there for you to view, but it hasn't necessarily always been contextualized or as useful as it could be. So the idea behind this Meraki Health sort of feature set that includes multiple different features is to bring that data to the forefront of the platform for the administrators and dashboard users to see, but then actually contextualize it. So it's not just data that you have no idea sort of what it's referring to. So give it context, and then also give recommendations and suggestions on what you can do with that data. What does it mean? What do those potential issues refer to? What could be the impact, and how could you resolve them? And just linking back to the slide that Daniel presented just a little bit ago, the power of the Meraki platform is the amount of data that we have. So that data lake that we have to build these features on top of. So for example, one of the numbers that I just want to pick out there is the 153 million daily end users. So with that large number of devices connecting to the platform every day, we can use that to actually create and mold these features into things that are useful and genuinely useful for the dashboard users when it comes to a configuration and troubleshooting perspective. I won't go over those other numbers again, because obviously Daniel already did that. But diving into a few of these features that are included in the Meraki Health kind of feature set, that umbrella, we have a Cisco partnership with Apple. What this enables is the ability to see more information about the device type connecting and the OS installed on that device, as well as better sort of like disassociation codes. So when the device disconnects or connects and there are issues, rather than there sort of just being an unknown code because it disappeared, with this integration and partnership, the dashboard will show you better reasoning as to why a device might have disconnected, and then enable you to obviously understand what the reason for that is and troubleshoot accordingly. We also have a feature called automated root cause analysis. Now, the idea behind this is that when a device can't connect, say, to a radius server, for example, rather than just saying, the device has failed to connect, it should give you information around the root cause of that issue, and then clear recommendations to remediate that issue or next steps to advise on what can be done to understand and fix that problem. So to look at this in a dashboard environment, I've just brought up one of our dashboards here, and we can see this is an example of a failed authentication within the network. And we can see that there's evidence as to what happened. information around the fact that we can see that actually this is impacting around 5 clients, so that it may not be a large sort of wider impact, but the radius response rate is lower, but it's not necessarily timing out. So we have recommendations here on what could be done within the dashboard to determine what's causing those issues. And then up the top here, we have another example relating to DHCP that failed for a client device. We can see that the average DHCP response rate is 98% across the network. However, on VLAN 202, that's actually 43%. So that might indicate a potential issue on that VLAN that you can then look into. And again, there are those recommendations on what it could mean and how you could start to investigate what is going on with that problem. Diving back into the sort of wireless updates, then we also have another feature called Network Like Yours. So this automatically generates comparisons of data against similar networks to yours, and then provides tailored recommendations. So diving back across into the network, I've run this for the same network, and this network has around 600 to 700 access points and is in the education vertical. We then have information around the Wi-Fi standard readiness. So this tells us that only 11% of the APs are actually Wi-Fi 6 capable. So in terms of making this network as future-proof as possible, it's potentially lacking a little, and there is information around sort of recommendations on how that can be improved. We then have information on the number of broadcasting SSIDs versus other networks in the same vertical. So here, this network, has 6 SSIDs that's broadcasting, that is fairly high. And we can compare that to the average, which is around 2 for other networks in the same vertical. And again, on the right-hand side, we have information around recommendations on how you could potentially improve that. So consolidate SSIDs, maybe utilize some other features like IPSK and so on. And then finally, there's information and comparisons around the channel utilization for the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum here. We can see that there's an issue on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum because 44% average utilization is quite high. So that may indicate that the performance for users, as we can see here, a large number of users have less than 10 meg of bandwidth potentially whilst connecting. So it's an indication of, hey, there might be something there that you need to investigate, and then recommendations on how that can be avoided. And then we also have something that's been around in the dashboard for a little bit here, but is very useful, and that's sort of this network overview. And again, it's this idea of contextualizing and bringing data to the forefront of the network for dashboard users to see. And this is what it looks like in the real world environment here. We can see that there is an AP that appears to be offline, that wasn't offline when I checked the other day. So that's potentially something that would need to be investigated. It looks like the uplinks and MX and switch product line are actually healthy at the moment, so no need to worry. And then finally, I'll finish the sort of wireless update section here on the smart thresholds for the MR platform. And essentially what this does is it looks at sort of the previous, I believe, 6 weeks of data and creates a baseline of how users connect to your network over time. It will then basically analyze that against the ongoing connectivity patterns, right? And look at how many devices fail whilst connecting on average. Now, being a wireless environment, it is common for those devices whilst connecting to fail every now and again, and that does happen. But the idea behind this feature is rather than just tell you sort of every time that a device has failed, it will try and remove the false positives by looking at, so using like a form of AI and ML to look at the previous weeks of data, and then only alert you based on sort of anomalous data points. So if there's a big spike in devices that are failing to connect, it can then alert you based on that, rather than sort of just alerting you every time that you're having an issue, because that could just be sort of the common amount of daily sort of failures just based on the fact that it is wireless. Okay, cool. So moving on swiftly, just to discuss the power of the APIs. I'll keep this brief because I know Daniel obviously covered it a moment ago as well. But we just wanted to emphasize that sort of within the platform itself, it obviously comes with a wealth of management and analytics capabilities already. However, that's not always necessarily covers everything that businesses want or need out of the platform. So having this dashboard API enables businesses to either streamline day-to-day or deployment tasks, but also remove data from the dashboard and pull data out of the dashboard, add sort of further analytics on that, whether you do that yourselves or with an ecosystem partner, and then basically make the platform more useful and more intelligent and more kind of value for money for your business. So rather than it being sort of just an accessibility platform, it becomes more integral to sort of the business elements of your company by pulling potential data out and analyzing it further. We have sort of 5 main API elements within the platform. The dashboard API is the most used. That's where you can configure pretty much almost anything in the dashboard, pull reports out, pull data out, and create your own. Oh, sorry, I think I lost there. I dropped out the call there. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Cool, nice one. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the Webhook API is focused around, it will send a HTTP post if there is an alert to like a web server or to any receiver, so you can integrate it with WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Slack, anything like that. Location APIs for wayfinding, asset tracking, and location analytics. The captive portal APIs for guest onboarding and customized guest experiences. And then the MV-Sense API is for the MV platform to stream data from the camera and again, do further analysis and analytics on that's for your specific needs. And as Daniel mentioned, there's 2 ways to sort of engage with the APIs. There's the build it yourself method, where we have a wealth of documentation that will cover that. And then the sort of turnkey purchase solution through the Meraki Marketplace, where we have over sort of, I believe now it's actually over 200 apps in the marketplace across multiple different categories. So definitely worth sort of taking a look there if you sort of have any interest in exploring what the API could potentially do for your business and your company. Just quickly then, before I move on, I just want to quickly show you an example of what can be done with the API. So here we have, this is WebEx, and our PM team, our product management team, have created like an API bot that integrates with the Meraki dashboard API. So I have added my API key from my organization here. And previously I sort of did an example here. We can see that I looked at and wanted to retrieve information about all of the clients in my organization over the past 7 days. And it gave me a sort of a printout of how many devices have connected, the average usage per client, information about the highest usage clients as well across the network. And of course, it gave us all of that information in like a CSV format to download as well. Something that you can also do is deploy new networks. So here, for example, I have a Z3 on my shelf behind me. And what I can do is actually deploy that into my organization. So if I just look at my organization here, we see there's a few networks. But if I just deploy this network quickly, I'll call it Z3 test and add the serial number in there. I'm not going to add any address or device notes or anything like that, and hit configure. This is taking my dashboard API key that I've given the bot. It is then linking to my Meraki platform and going to create a new network for the Z3 to be added to. So there we can see the network has just been created. It's then enabling webhooks on that network. And then it will also add in the Z3 device with the serial number that I gave it into that network. So if I now refresh the page, we can see that there should be a new network in there. There it is, API demo-Z3 test, as I called it, the Z3 test element. And within there, there is the Z3 that's on my shelf behind me that is plugged in at the moment. So after a few minutes, that device should actually appear online in the dashboard. So from a deploy, well, actually, in fact, it's showing potentially online or starting to come online already. So as we can see from a deployment perspective, you can see that could be very powerful if you have multiple sites that you need to deploy and automate. Now then, diving into the last kind of couple of sections for today, I just want to quickly cover what the MX platform does and then discuss around Umbrella and how that integrates. So the MX platform it's a security appliance. It has a sort of advanced SD-WAN feature set and combines that with a unified threat management feature set, such as things like IDS, IPS, and AMP, to create what we call the Meraki MX security appliance. And that UTM threat management side of things is backed by Cisco Talos, which the majority, well, in fact, all sort of Cisco security products utilize for their security features, which is a team of around 250 full-time security engineers that work to block 20 billion threats daily and analyze 1.5 million unique malware samples daily as well. So with that vast sort of amount of security data powering the unified threat management features within the MX, you can see it can be quite a powerful tool for your organization potentially. The platform has multiple different models, as we can see, varying across small, medium, large branches, but also we have virtualized devices as well. So these are virtual images that can be deployed into cloud environments, public cloud environments, such as AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, for example, and Alibaba Cloud as well, across different sizes, depending on the needs for your organization. So this can help you link to your cloud-based flows and your cloud-based information as well, potentially. And then there are three main license tiers for the MX: Enterprise, Advanced Security, and SD-WAN+. The Advanced Security being the one that has the unified threat management features. SD-WAN+ has some unique SD-WAN specific features, but the base SD-WAN feature set does come with the Enterprise. It does come with the Enterprise license, so the lowest tier license as well. And then finally, Daniel's kind of already alluded to the number of integrations that the Meraki MX and the Meraki platform has. But one of them that I just want to focus on to finish is Cisco Umbrella. And the reason for that is, within the industry at the moment, and I think more so as we go down the road, the terminology, the SASE architecture, so Secure Access Services Edge architecture, is becoming more and more prevalent. And this architecture, we're not going into detail today, and we could potentially do another webinar if there's interest specifically on SASE and what that looks like. But it kind of alludes to this ability for organizations to have sort of the same consistent policies across your organization for users, regardless of where they're connecting, whether it's in an office or from a coffee shop or from someone's sofa. So Cisco Umbrella is a big part of that journey, because it enables a unified single policy engine hosted in the cloud. So for those of you that don't know, Cisco Umbrella is a product line within Cisco, and it's basically a cloud-delivered security platform that consists of a number of different features that we can see on the slide here. We have the most commonly used, which is the DNS Layer Security. And this came from the days when Cisco actually purchased Open DNS, which is what has now turned into Umbrella. DNS security is a massive thing within organizations, because obviously, I think it's a statistic of around 70% of attacks utilize DNS as part of that attack. So if we can implement security at that layer, it will help to reduce the target for those attackers on your organization. Other feature sets include things like Secure Web Gateway, which enable things like HTTPS inspection, file inspection, and other things within the cloud. We can also do things like have a cloud-delivered firewall. So for those off-prem devices that aren't necessarily behind a physical firewall, you can implement common firewall policies across those devices. So if they're just connecting via VPN, or even via using the Umbrella connector installed on the device, that can secure the user's data that way. And then a couple of other more recent features are things like the remote browser isolation and data loss prevention. So remote browser isolation, essentially for the categories that you define and the websites you define, it will basically load that website inside the Umbrella cloud and then render that information down to the end user's machine. So if there's anything potentially suspicious or malicious on that website, that will be loaded in the Umbrella cloud environment and can be blocked and held up there rather than directly on the end machine, because it essentially just renders that down onto the end machine. So that can be quite a powerful thing for potentially unknown websites. And data loss prevention obviously is a big thing in the industry these days as well. So I'm just going to finish on doing a quick demo. So I've got another few minutes. So I'm just going to pop over to the Umbrella dashboard and the Meraki dashboard and show you how easy the integration is, and what it could actually look like. So as we can see, just before doing that, there's a list on the right-hand side of multiple different sort of security and SD-WAN features. So the Meraki side of things enables that SD-WAN connectivity between your locations and also implements security there. And then the Umbrella side of things implements further security and adds to that sort of layered approach that you should always have to your sort of security posture of your organization and of your business. So if I just quickly jump back to the dashboard here and just refresh the page, we should probably see that that Z3 is now actually online. There it is. So it's online, everything's green, and we can see that it's coming online in the dashboard. So that's how easy sort of that deployment was with the API. But if I now jump across to Umbrella, so I'm just going to load that up quickly and show you some of the policies that I've created and what they are doing, and then obviously show them in action by blocking a few pages and things. So if I just move across here on the left-hand side over to the policies and then to web policies, we can see the web policies that I've actually configured. So I've got a knowledge worker policy here. And within that, I've created 3 rules. I have a block rule that is set up to block entertainment websites, because I don't want anyone to be entertained whilst they're at work. I've got a time wasters policy as well that I've called it. And that applies to auction websites and also potentially things like Craigslist, or also car sort of websites. And then we have an isolation policy, and this utilizes that remote browser isolation feature, and that is applied to news and sports and recreation. And then further down there, I have some other things such as file analysis. So I don't want anyone in my organization to download ISOs from the websites because they could be potentially dangerous. I have HTTPS inspection enabled, and also I have some security settings enabled as well. So anything that could relate to command and control callback attacks, malware, or phishing attacks should get blocked if I try and access those. So just before I actually demo that, I just want to show you how easy the integration is from the Meraki platform into the Umbrella platform. So with the MX, you have that security appliance. And what you can do is you can deploy this SD-WAN connector by giving it a name, choosing the data centers. So these are the Umbrella data centers that you want to link to. So I currently have mine set to Paris and Prague, I believe. And then what happens is the Meraki platform goes away, deploys a VMX inside the Prague and Paris Umbrella data centers, as we can see here. And then what you will do is you'll create an auto VPN tunnel easily within like 2 or 3 clicks into those VMXs. And immediately the traffic that you define can then be sent through that VPN tunnel into the Umbrella environment and then policed by these policies. So whether that user is on-prem or whether they are off-prem and using their mobile devices, they can get access and be blocked by this same policy, essentially. So now if we just quickly have a look here, we can see that my traffic is going via the Umbrella public IP. So this is one of their public IPs in France. So it's not using my my local IP here. It's being tunneled through that VPN tunnel. And then if we just try and go to sort of an entertainment website here, so this is one that I know is classed as an entertainment website, we can see that the Umbrella block page is immediately presented to the user. So they know that obviously that traffic has been blocked there. If we then also try to go to a website called Auto Trader, which is a car kind of auctioning or secondhand website that you can go to. So, I want to block users looking for new cars at work. It tells us that actually it may not be against the organization's acceptable use policies. However, if you want temporary access, you can hit continue and it will take you through to the website. And then, hey, look, there we go. We can access it temporarily if we want to. Finally, if we want to go to, let's say, skysports.com, so a sports website, from the user's perspective, the site should load essentially the same as it would for any other site. However, in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that there's this sort of blue Cisco logo that says this page is isolated. So this page is actually loaded up inside the Umbrella environment and then rendered down onto my machine. So if there's any potential malicious activity on this page, it should be kept away from my machine, even though I can still actually access the website. And then finally, if we just try and go to, say, ubuntu.com and download the latest Ubuntu image, it will look like everything's okay and working. But as soon as the download tries to start, because that traffic is essentially going via the Umbrella policies, you can see that the ISO that would be downloaded normally has actually been blocked by Umbrella because I don't want users in my organization to access those ISO files. And the user now knows that, okay, yeah, we can't download that, so they'd have to contact the administrator if they really needed it. So conscious of time, I think I've only run a couple of minutes over, but that's sort of a kind of a quick overview of what is possible within the Meraki Umbrella platform and the integration with the Meraki MX as well. So, thanks for everyone's time listening to me today. Hopefully, I've shared something new with you. If you have any questions, obviously, feel free to fire away with them now. I think I'm going to quickly hand over back to Daniel as well, just to go over next steps with regards to potentially trials and things like that. So, Daniel, I don't know if you want to take back over the screen potentially and go from there.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for that presentation. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully you can see my screen. Thank you for that presentation. That was very good, Dan. Just quickly on some follow-ups. Actually, I think we have one question, Dan. If you want. We have a question from the audience. If you can tell us if you have started to see an increase in Wi-Fi 6 clients.
So Wi-Fi 6, just Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E?
Wi-Fi 6.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah, the majority of, because Wi-Fi 6 has been out since 2019. And since then, yes, there's definitely been an increase in Wi-Fi 6 devices connecting to the network. And the beauty of like the network like yours feature shows you the capability of your network specifically, but then also you can actually see the number of client devices from the clients list that have Wi-Fi 6 capabilities as well. So if that's something that you're interested in working out, if you have, say, Wi-Fi 5 APs, or like Wi-Fi 5 Wave 2 APs, and you want to see if actually your network has a lot of Wi-Fi 6 clients in, that can be done through the network clients list as well. So you can actually see the capabilities of those clients connected and work out, hey, is it potentially worth upgrading to 6 or 6E to understand that more specifically your environment as well. But yes, generally there has definitely been an increase in Wi-Fi 6 clients within the industry as a whole.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Okay, a bit cautious on time, but hopefully that gave everyone an overview of some of the new developments that we've been working on at Meraki. And obviously, we want to talk about some follow-ups. So we have a program at Meraki called See, Try, Buy. So there's different ways how you can access and try this yourselves. So we have our webinar programs. So we have a large portfolio of webinars specific for different verticals, for education, finance, any segment that you might be interested in. And you can, in some cases, get sent a free webinar to try it yourself. That's one way that you can access some of our equipment, but we also have the trial program. So if you're interested in testing any of our products in our portfolio, please let OpenKerfa know, and we can set up a trial, send out a camera, a sensor, a firewall, whatever you want to test, and you can test it on your own hand, free of charge, and you can even send it back or purchase it easily through OpenKerfa if you want to keep it. We can also set up trials for Cisco Umbrella. So that's also possible if you want to try out the integration. If you already have an existing Meraki portfolio and want to try the Umbrella integration, it is also possible to set up Cisco Umbrella trials. And finally, I think it's worth noting before I pass it back to Kristin for the close, we're also running a special promo together with OpenKerfa. So if you have any refresh or any renewals up and coming, please contact OpenKerfa. And we have a special promo until the 31st of May together with them, but they will be able to share more information if you contact them after the webinar. And of course, if there's any interest to test any equipment, any follow-up questions, please let us know and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for this. It was really interesting. Já, eins og bara Daniel nefndi að þá eru þið til í að styðja okkur með bara góðum tilboðum og þannig ef að það er eitthvað þannig úti sem að er svona eitthvað að hugleiða, Wi-Fi 6, endurnýja eitthvað eldri búnað, saman hvort það eru svissar, eldveggir eða annað, að þá vill Meraki styðja okkur með sérstökum tilboðsverðum út maí, þannig að endilega ekki hika við að nálgast okkur þá með það ef að þið eruð í einhverjum slíkum pælingum. Getið þið sent þá bara til dæmis post á sala.ok eða heyrt í ykkar þjónustu eða viðskiptastjóra og þá fer þetta allt saman í réttan farveg og ég tek líklega við málinu og aðstoða. Mér sýnist svo sem ekki fleiri spurningar og við erum svo sem runnin út á tíma líka. Ef einhverja pælingar vakna eða spurningar, þá bara eins og Daniel sagði, endilega ekki hika við að leita til okkar og við finnum lausn á því. Að öðru leyti þá bara vil ég þakka öllum þáttökunni í dag og vonandi þetta hafi verið bara nokkuð áhugavert og skemmtilegt. En segi þá bara annars þessum morgunverðarfundi lokið og takk fyrir okkur og eigið góðan dag. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.